Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, it's Squigmar here! A Battleforce! Ah! Wow! Welcome back to the Real Ones Go Fast, old Big Mek here, and it's time for us to do an episode on the new holiday battle forces. Specifically, the Ork one. Not this one, this is last year's. Let's get into it! That's right, for those of you that have been living under a rock, Games Workshop every year for the last quite a few years now puts out holiday battle forces. Now these battle forces are not the battle forces from when I was but a youngling, where you got basically 2 or 3 squads in a box. Those are pretty much the combat patrols. Now battle forces are now your replacement for army boxes, what used to be mega forces. The long and the short of it is, every single holiday season, they release a number of these for both Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar, and they're usually quite popular because they're usually a really good deal. This particular one is the Beastnaga Stampede, which was from last holiday season, and it featured a whole bunch of really cool stuff for the 40k Ork Army. In fact, we have built and now painted this army here on the channel, which I will throw some links up there if you are interested in seeing those. But for this year, for 2024, there are a few Battle Force boxes for Warhammer 40k. However, none of them are orcs. And that's the first time in a bit that we haven't had a specific orc box. However, there is an Age of Sigmar box for the Ironjawz called the Wrekkamob. And here is what that looks like. You basically have a ginormous boss on ginormous pig thing, 6 big brute guys, and 20 Ardboys. Now, I don't know their actual names, but we're going to go over them. And what our question is whether or not this box is useful for you, the 40k player. Now, first, before we dive too deep into this, I know a lot of you are going to say down in the comments, "Oh, just run them as Beastnagas, it'll be fine." I remind you that Beastnagas look nothing like Age of Sigmar orcs. In fact, I remind you that 1 out of every 3 Beastnagas has a completely bionic limb, whether it's an arm or a leg, and they all carry chainsaw power weapons. These are not basic cleavers, and they are all like this. There are ones with metal heads and chrome domes and targeting eyes, and again, whole arms, whole legs. They have bionic parts everywhere, way more than even your standard orc boy. So when you use Age of Sigmar or Old World orcs and try to pass them off as Beastnagas, it doesn't work. The only thing old school about them at all is a few of them have leathers and furs wrapped around the top of them. Not all of them, and most of them have a piece of armor plating that is metal on their shoulder pad. One even has a Necron spine. The long and the short of it is, these guys don't look anything like the Ardboys or the Ironjawz or whoever the heck they are. So just calling them Beastnagas isn't going to work. Now, that being said, if you did want to run them as snake bites for regular orcs, you could totally do that. This particular Battle Force box comes with 20 Ardboys, and they are pretty gnarly. In fact, here is a look at that squad. Now, you do have options on this squad. They have the spears and shields or some close combat weapons. There is one that you build as a boss knob, and they do come on 32mm bases. So these are the same size as regular boys or Beastnaga boys. That being said, they are quite a bit heavily up armored compared to regular boys. They have very little bare skin showing. You see lots of face masks, lots of armor panels, especially on the arms themselves, fully armored legs, and of course these ginormous shields. I have seen some talk online about using these guys as mega knobs. That may have even been a thing I have recommended. However, these are not the right ones for that. There is a 40mm base version that is much more appropriate. These guys on a 32 are just a bit too weedy to be something like a mega knob. What you really want for that is the brutes. That's these guys right here. They come 5 to a box instead of 10 to a box. And these are the guys on the 40mm bases in the same style. And you can see that these guys have the armor plating that goes up around the back of their neck. And so these are the ones that make great mega armor proxies. Now, that being said, again, these are not in the box. So what exactly can you do with 20 Ardboys then, especially being that all of them are going to have the shield? The weapon arm is the only thing that changes between the spear and the choppa. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of spears in 40k, so you're going to want to run choppas. Basically, if you wanted 20 knobs, that's what I would run these guys as. Even though they are on the 32mm bases, so are the current knobs. They are a little bit beefier than your standard boy or beast snagga. As you saw, they have the fully armored legs, lots of armor on the arms and the shoulders, which just kind of makes them look a bit bigger and a bit tougher. So they do kind of read as a knob fairly well. Plus, with the shield arm, you could either leave the shield off and, you know, cut off the hand and throw a weapon on there, throw a slugga or a combi weapon, or if you wanted to be real big mechy, glue the weapons to the shield itself. That would probably look pretty cool. So you would end up with 20 knobs. Now, do you need 20 knobs? Well, unless you are going to run Bully Boys as your detachment and you are like dead set on having 2 war bosses leading to 10-man knob squads, could be a bit rough. That being said, if you wanted to sprinkle these guys throughout an existing army or make a squad of Ardboys, which was a thing in 40k back in 3rd edition, 4th, in 5th even, I think, where you had literally just up armored regular orc boys who had a 4+ save instead of a 6+ save. They could be good for that too. So it really kind of comes down to what your infantry needs are. If you don't have a whole lot of orcs yet and you want some more bodies on the ground, this could be a great option. Or if you're like me and you just have a zillion billion orcs and you're getting kind of tired of looking at the same ones all the time, it could be nice to kind of throw some variation in there and use them as like heavy conversion bases. Now, if you're just starting out and these are your only armies, honestly, I think you're probably better off buying an older set or just getting your own sets instead of working on the Battleforce. But let's keep going and see what the rest of the box holds. Now, the second squad, which again is 2 squads, just like the Ardboys, this one is 2 squads of 3, are the Weird Brute Wrekkas. Now, these kits are extremely cool, but they are extremely Age of Sigmar. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here are the Weird Brute Wrekkas. Again, you get 3 of them, and they have these pretty cool ball and chain looking things. Pretty gnarly looking guys, very big, very muscular. You can see, though, all the armor is only on the bottom, and they are completely armorless on the top, except for maybe a wrist greave and a helmet. That being said, there is a number of different head options, and there are some really cool poses. Now, what makes these guys really interesting is these ones are on 40mm bases. So these are the same base size as a Mega Knob, and you can see that the other way you can build them as the Brute Ragers. This is, again, all in the same box. This is your alternative build. You have unhelmeted heads with these massive 2-handed weapons. There's this really cool ginormous cleaver, another ball and chain guy, and then you've got this kind of spike stick thing going on. So yeah, that kind of gives you your options there. And that's the alternative build for that squad. Now again, these guys are interesting being on the 40mm bases and being the much larger orcs that they are. You can do more with them. I think these are a great basis for doing 3 additional Mega Knobs. However, what I would do is I would literally buy a Mega Knobs box set, because that set does come with everything to make 2 big mechs and mega armor and 3 Mega Knobs and a whole bunch of extra weapon arms and things, and kind of use the parts on these guys as well, and also put some armor plating on them to help them read in. I do think that other Orc kit I showed you earlier that was the 5 guys is a better option for that, though. So if you're purely looking to add more Mega Knobs to your army, I think that one is a better way to go. The other option you could do with these guys, especially if you didn't want to deal with all of that and trying to make them look like Mega Knobs, is the 40mm base size is the standard base size for all of the non-War Boss characters. Really, you know, so your Weird Boy, and War Boy, and Pain Boy, and the regular... No, I think the regular mech might be on a 32. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. There's a bunch of different special characters that you can kit bash out these into on 40mm bases. So that can get kind of interesting if you don't have a couple of weird boys, if you don't have a couple of pain boys. This could be an option. That being said, you're really going to have to dig through some bits to get the proper pieces to put those together to really make them read like that on the tabletop. So again, this kind of comes down to more just having different bodies in different poses for some like really heavy kit bashing. All right, one thing left in the box. This is the most interesting thing, and this is the Tusk Boss on Maw Grunter. Now you can see this is clearly a big giant four-legged piggy thing, and there's a couple of riders on the side and a guy on the top, so of course you're thinking kill rig, right? You are not wrong. This makes an excellent kill rig basis. Now this oval base is 120 millimeters, which is much smaller than the kill rig's 160 millimeter base. So if you had this kit plus one truck, you could totally build yourself an alternative kill rig. You would use these two side rider guys as your side riders, just like the real kill rig, and you would turn the rider guy into your warboy, and yeah, go to town from there. So again, kit basher's paradise, but not necessarily really useful for much else. This thing is way too big to be a beast boss on Squigosaur. They are on a round base that is much smaller than this. They are also only two-legged squigs. You'd be leaving these two side guys out. You'd just be way, way larger than that model is supposed to be, which is, of course, a tactical disadvantage, so you wouldn't want to do that. But yeah, again, if you wanted to kind of make your own kill rig, this is a good option. So yeah, do I recommend this box? Well, clearly kind of not. Unless you are the consummate kit basher, the Ironjawz Wrekkamob Battleforce just really isn't very 40k. You need to buy other kits to go with it to really turn into things. So unless you literally have a truck kit and a bunch of bits laying around to convert everybody into knobs and characters, I would pass on this one. The savings basically comes down to if you bought that boss on the pig and the two squads of the three big dudes and the Ardboys, you're getting one of the 10-man Ardboys for free. That's basically the pricing structure that this Battleforce is. So it's also not like it's this huge, amazing deal either. So when you're looking at less than ideal miniatures for kit bashing, and you get a whole bunch of them, and it's kind of pricey, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So again, unless you've got like an absolutely massive collection and you are sitting on a mound of bits like old Big Mek, and you love kit bashing, by all means, then I think eat your heart out. There is definitely some great options there, especially, like I said, using those two squads of three to turn into special characters, especially as our special character molds are getting kind of long in the tooth. The Weird Boy is still made in resin, for example. That could be really interesting, and just having different body structures to put the regular 40k Ork boy weapons and heads and stuff on could be an interesting deal. But as a standalone thing, are you going to turn this into a 40k army? No, you're not. There's not enough parts in these kits, and the profiles are not clean enough to read as the correct things. You're not going to be able to run them as Beast Nagas. You're not going to be able to run that guy as a Beast Boss on Squigosaur. And you can certainly make it a kill rig, but again, you're going to need to do a lot of work to make it the size of this thing. I would recommend combining it with a truck and going from there. So my recommendation on this one is a do not buy. Now, obviously, if you've got family loved ones that want to buy you something for Squigmas, and that's what you ask for and that's what you get, by all means, more power to you. That's pretty awesome. But just know what you are in for when it comes to the conversions. Now, all that being said, the 5 actual battle forces for 40k, we will be doing 5 dedicated videos for, just like we have done last year as well, where I break down how many points are in the box, how they combine with the combat patrol, and how you can make an army out of them for all 5 boxes. Because again, we covered more than just orcs here, so if you are interested in the Necron, the Dark Angels, the Tau, the Knights, or the Sisters of Battle, you should definitely tune in for those videos. Or if you're thinking about starting a second army and whatnot, we can, definitely will be talking about that. So yeah, look forward for those. Definitely make sure you subscribe so you don't miss them. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully that helps you decide whether or not this battle force is worth you looking into this holiday season to go underneath your Squigmar tree. And until next time, wag on!